welcome to my channel. I am so fucking excited to be back here with you. And just so you know, on this journey, I am planning to make this my #1 internet home. So if you're following me on Instagram or Facebook, you might want to move over here and be sure to subscribe. My plan is to do at least once a week videos here, and we're keeping the conversation going. So if you're on, like I said, Instagram, you know that I did a recent poll with questions and you got to vote on it. So today's topic is from that poll, and I'm very excited about this topic. It's very near and dear to my heart. It's definitely one of the things that led me into doing this work about 7 years ago. So as you can see, this topic today is how to calm your mind. And let me tell you, there are a lot of ways to calm your mind. So in today's video, an effort to keep it, more condensed, so it's not like super long, I'm just going to share a few of my top techniques and tools. And it's also in more of a general sense, because with that poll, we didn't dig into like what specifically is on your mind. And so, in like more of a client coaching situation, I would have you dig into that more and tell me. So I'd be able to speak more specifically on that. So today's video, you'll get some general tips and tricks and techniques have been my go-to techniques. And before we dive in, let me just show you this cuteness that I have beside me. I have Freya and I have Thor, and they're wearing their little gangster chains today because why not? So share their cuteness with you real quick. And let's go ahead and dive in. My #1 go-to tool, if I am full of anxiety, I'm stressed, my mind is just revved up, I've, done the workout, I've done the walk, I've done the dishes, I've done the laundry, all of those things that I've used to like move that energy and move that emotion. And still, if I can't calm my mind, I use this tool, and I'm not the only one. This is actually one of the tools that the Navy SEALs use in high stress situations. And it's called box breath, if I didn't already say it. And what this is you do 4 counts, inhale through your nose, hold for 4 counts, and then exhale through your nose, and then hold the exhale for 4 counts, and then again 4 times. Imagine a box. And that's what you can do to shift your nervous system so you're out of fight or flight and into rest and digest, because if you're feeling wired, it's hard for you to focus and you're more scattered and all over the place. But when you slow down, you're like, oh, now I have the idea. Oh, now I have the clarity. Oh, now I have the direction, or now you can just feel better in your body. So that's the first tool, is the box breath. And now what I would have you do, because obviously breath work is amazing. It's a big thing. There are so many different ways to do breath work. And also, if this is coming up for you a lot, I'd like you to dig into this next tool, which is really helping you get to the root of it. Because you can box breath all day long, and then it's just going to be maybe a procrastination thing, because there could be something deeper. So I want you to ask yourself, what emotion is coming up for you with this feeling of not having a calm mind? And the top 5 emotions are anger, sadness, fear, guilt, and conflict. So, without judgment, just getting honest with yourself. Is something making you angry in your life? Are you bottling up sadness? Is there something in your future that has you feeling fear? Is there something you're feeling guilty about? Or maybe there's something that you're just feeling like a little torn. You're like a yes and no conflict situation. And just sit with that for a second and identify that emotion of like, oh, okay, maybe I'm feeling a little angry. And maybe that feeling of anger has been going for a while. And I can tell you, I know how that feels. And sometimes we can become like a little bit addicted to that feeling, and we can use that emotional energy as like fuel to like keep us going and moving forward. Sometimes it backfires when it's going on too long, and then it's just this like energy that's coming, it's literally coming up through your body, and you can't out exercise it, you can't, run away from it, it's just there. And then once you know, like, okay, is this from the past? Is this about the future? And then you can start to distill down like some action steps towards dissolving that overwhelm or anxiety or just mind energy. And that's one thing, honestly, with my clients recently. And I think it's also the shift into summer, that there's like more of an energy coming up with this season of like things you have to do in your future. And then you put a lot of pressure on yourself, and you're just like, oh my gosh, I never have enough time, so many things to do. And so when you start to understand, like, okay, I'm angry, or you're overwhelmed, it's something about the future, then you can start to realize what's going on and get productive with that energy. Because I just feel like all of that is just energy that needs to be expressed in a positive, productive way. And also, just so you know, that, especially if this is something that's come up for you and it's like been like a repetitive pattern or repetitive feeling for a while, you need to know, first of all, you're not broken. You're normal, and this doesn't have to become your new normal. Studies have shown that human brains have about 70,000 thoughts a day, and about 80% of them are the same fucking thoughts over and over and over and over again. And so like you start to feel broken, like a broken record, because these things are just repeating. And so that's why with the questions I was asking, I want you to kind of coach yourself through this to like get yourself in the calm state after doing box breath, and then start to really ask yourself, because you're living in your own mind. Even the best psychic or coach or therapist, like they still don't know what's in your mind. You know what's in your mind. So with identifying like what is this thought that's repeating for you, that's keeping you revved up, that's keeping you in this fight or flight, not calm state of mind. And then so you're like, okay, you've got that pinpointed, you've got some clarity. You're like, okay, now I see what's going on. And then what I can have you try next to see what works for you. This is something I do, I would say at least weekly, and I've done for a while, because just like you, and a lot of other people, like we have so many ideas, we're consuming so much content, so much information all the time. And then you're just like, fuck, now what do I do with it all? What do you do with it all? So there's two ways you can do this. And let me tell you, like this is a little sticky note, and then I have journals. So I do this a couple different ways, and it just depends on what feels good to me in the moment. Because sometimes I feel more like calm and clear. And so then I'll like make it in a nice like list in a journal. I'll just dump out all of my thoughts and it'll be organized and it'll make sense. And then sometimes that is definitely not the case. And that's when I usually use sticky notes or like note cards. And I write each like task or thought of either what I want to do in the future, what do I need to do next. And then it helps me get those thoughts out of my mind and onto paper. And then that creates the calmness and the clarity, because it's not just like circling my mind, but now I've made the intangible tangible. And then I can go through and I can move those pieces of like, this is going to go on my Friday afternoon. This is going to go in next month. This is going to go in the next 5 minutes because I just want it off my plate. And it helps you be productive and feel better faster, because like I said, it's out of your head and into something that's tangible. So again, with this brain dump technique, get those thoughts and ideas out. It doesn't have to make sense. You can come back to that in the next step and then have it make sense. But the first part is just getting it out, writing it down some way, somehow, whatever works for you. And again, it's not about having it be perfect. It's just about the process, what works for you. So, and then after you've dumped it out, it's out of your head. Now I like to go through this, and I'm going to call it the 4D framework. Fancy, I know. So number one of the D's of the 4Ds framework is delete. So after writing it down in the notebook, you're looking at your list and you're like, do I really need to do this? Does it really need done? Or is this just something you created that you said you should do? Like, you gauge, like, how important is that thing to actually do? And maybe you're like, well, it actually doesn't matter. It like probably never needs done. It was just something you made up, or somebody said something, I don't know. But you decide, like, what are you deleting on that list? And go ahead and either cross it off the list, or if it's on a sticky note or a note card, tear it up, shred it, get rid of it. And that can be very cathartic in itself, because you're like, yes, I'm moving forward. You're starting to feel calmer and you're starting to realize you've moved that energy. And then the second D in the 4D framework is delegate. So let's say it's like something like cleaning your house, something I've delegated, and every once in a while I have to remind myself to not be the control cleaning freak that I can be, because I'm particular, is delegate. So it's on your list. It needs done. This has to happen. So delegate. It's like, okay, do you need to pull up the handy app? Do you need to ask somebody? And keep with that momentum and that energy and motion of like messaging someone and being like, hey, can you help me with this? Can you do this? Like, get that ball rolling again. So it's not on you. you can receive support. You can have somebody help you provide service or whatever it is that's on your list. Because like I said, this is a general thing. Number 3 on the 4D framework is delay. Yeah, on your list, if you're like, I really want to do this, this needs done, but you can definitely push it towards the future, then by all means, move it forward in your calendar, move it forward in your list, move it forward in your schedule, and come back to that. And again, it's out of your mind. You have it written down. You have it on the list. You'll come back to it. Awesome. Energy out. Last 4D is distort. So what I really wanted to call it was reframe, but to stick with the framework of 4D to make it more memorable for you is distortion. So let's say it's something on your to-do list and you're like, fucking hate doing this, don't want to be around this person, don't want to go there, don't want to do the thing, whatever it is. With this distortion or this reframe, what can you do to get your energy behind it so it feels better? So even if it's like you imagine like 15 minutes after you've completed this task or this project or this meeting or whatever it is, you imagine yourself feeling so relieved that you exhale and you're like, oh, I feel like such a good person. I feel like you're in integrity, or you did what you said you were going to do. You got it done. And then you just remind yourself when you're doing that thing that you don't really want to do, that you kind of future trip it to give yourself that reframe of a different energy, because you can't change the thing. You can't change the thing, but you can change how you feel about it. And that's what we're going for here, is you're changing the feeling. You're changing the way you feel about it until you can change what you're doing. All righty. Well, this has been real and it has been real fun. And I'm super excited, like I said, to get this going again. And so I would love to know from you, after you've tried these tips and tricks and techniques and tools, let me know what worked for you, and or when you're going to try it, or let's just keep this conversation going. And like I said in the beginning, this was just like a poll, and I wanted to get started with this one because this is like such a big root of why I'm doing this work. So I'm super glad for those of you who voted on it. You know who you are, so thank you. And then let me know also of like more specifically is like what else is going on for you. Yeah, any other ideas or suggestions of what you want me to do a video on, share it in the comments below. And be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you soon. So lots of love. Take care. Talk soon.